All right, Master Lease Options. This is video number 2. We're going to be talking about structuring Master Lease Options. First video, I kind of gave you a breakdown, 10,000 foot view of what a Master Lease Option was and roughly what it's used for. Here, we're going to kind of start talking more detail. Let's talk about the structure of a Master Lease Option. In video number 1, I mentioned that it's a two-pronged contract. It is. It's one offer. You're making one single offer to a seller, but it is going to actually be two separate contracts. Again, the two contracts are the master lease, gives us the right to rent the property, sublet the units. That allows us to control operations. We're going to make a rent payment to our seller. We'll talk about how much rent payment we're going to make in this video. Second contract, the option to purchase. All right, that is setting us up for the future buy of the property. We're negotiating the purchase price today with the seller, and then hopefully through the master lease, we make the value go up and exit with the option in the future. All right, so how do we structure these? Let's break that down. So first of all, let's talk about that rent payment. You're going to have to make some sort of rent payment to your seller each month under your master lease. What I recommend there is that that you try and make it as little as possible, right? But as much as it takes to get the deal done. There's no set answer. I'm just going to kind of give you some general ideas. At a minimum, you are likely to have to pay the seller's mortgage, their interest on the mortgage, taxes, insurance. All right. Those are the basics that you're going to wind up paying. Mortgage, taxes, insurance. All right. Above that, you may need to share in some of the net cash flow. Hopefully not. But if you do, negotiate that to get the seller interested in the deal. All right. So now we know we're making a mortgage payment, taxes, and insurance. What I recommend is that in this structure, either you yourself make those payments to the bank directly if the seller will allow you to do it. And if the seller is not comfortable with you making those payments directly, you want to set up an escrow with, say, an attorney or someone like that who can do that for you. Never send the payments to the seller and just hope the seller makes those payments for you, because if they don't, you are just a renter. The bank is going to show up and they're going to foreclose on the property, and you're going to lose all your time, energy, and any money you put into the deal. All right. So that's why I say you want to use an escrow or third party clearinghouse. If not, make those payments yourself. All right. And that brings us into our next point of you being a renter. Again, you're going to have to take over with this master lease. You're going to rent the property. You're making those mortgage payments. The seller, operations. And that's the next point. All right. You are going to collect all of the money from the property, or your management company. And this is a good opportunity to bring in a new management company, by the way, if the old management company is not great. Your operations, you're going to collect all the revenue. Your management is going to pay all the invoices. Then you're going to pay the taxes, insurance, mortgage. Whatever is left is net profit. All right. What are we doing with that? Hopefully you're keeping all of that. And that is why you would want to do the master lease. Major repairs, that is negotiable. If it's big CapEx items, I would probably try and have the seller fund that. But again, you may want to have to set up some kind of reserve, operational reserve. If the seller negotiates, you have to do some of those repairs. Something to think about. Large damage should be covered under the seller's insurance. We're going to leave the seller's insurance in place. So, a tornado or a fire, something like that, that should all be covered under seller's insurance. All right. So that's kind of the master lease. One last point in here is that, well, actually kind of moving into the option to purchase. The beginning of the option to purchase starts off with option money. All right. So we're going to have to now give our seller what is called legal consideration. In most states, and again, this is not legal advice, but in most states, I believe it is around $10. That there has to be a transfer of $1 or $10, something like that, to make a contract legitimate. So you're going to have to put down in option money at least, let's call it $10. Now, the likelihood that you're going to get a master lease option deal for $10 is low. It's not zero, it's just low. So you are going to have to put down as much money as it takes to get the deal done, to get the seller on board, but as little as possible. All right. And here is a math formula to help you out. Look at the cash flow of the property. All right. So what I'm going to want to do is say, how much does this property, or how much is it projected to cash flow per year? And I'm going to want to put down half of the cash flow for the entire project, or no more than half of the cash flow for the entire project, as option money. So let's say that if I sit down and my seller gives me a 3-year option to purchase this property, I'm going to calculate up 3 years worth of cash flow, or at least projected cash flow. And I'm not going to give them more than 1.5 years worth of cash flow as the option money. All right. Why would I want to do that? Because if I get all the way to the end of the deal and for some reason I don't want to close, I find that something has gone wrong with the property, or if there's any kind of legal challenges, I'm not going to have any more skin in the game. I can choose to walk away from that deal if I've cash flowed back all of my option money. So that's kind of the option. Getting into that structuring again, you've got your master lease, you've got your option to purchase. Option to purchase. How long are we going to calculate that? How long are we going to ask our seller for? Well, kind of depends on several things. It depends on what you need to do to the property. You need to take the calculation of how much time is it going to take to renovate, stabilize, and exit, and then add maybe 20% to that just for fudge factor, right? That's one calculation you need to look at. And then the other is how much money does this seller want in option money? And then you use that, as I said, the calculation to kind of say that you need that amount of time to produce that amount of revenue. It's always a negotiation. You're always going to go back and forth with your seller, but that's master lease options and getting them done. So get out there, start looking for master lease option deals. In the next video, we're going to kind of talk about how do you work with realtors and SPY technique, a few other things. But these work. You've just got to get out there and look for sellers that are motivated and learn how to create offers that create value for that seller. That is how you're going to get a master lease option offer accepted.